Welcome! William Wood here. I am the creator of the Lifestyle Profits Academy, and today I have got an amazing entrepreneur. One of the things that I've dedicated my life to doing is helping entrepreneurs create breakthroughs in their own personal lives and in their businesses so that they can take things to the next level. And today we're going to be doing just that. We've got the amazing Tracy Walker online. Now, Tracy and I know each other about 4 or 5 years, I think, at this point.
Yep, that's about right.
It's about right, yeah, and it's been a lot of fun, a huge journey. And Tracy has been a very successful entrepreneur in her online business, which is what she's been doing over the last handful of years. She's brought in more than $1 million in revenue. I'm not sure if it's like 1.2 or 1.3 or something like that, but it's been more than $1 million, and she's been very successful doing what she's doing. She's a great leader. She's an amazing mom, a mom of one. Little Josiah just is about 2 years old. Is that right?
Yep, he's 2 years old.
2 years old. And so, Tracy, what we'd like to do today is we'd like to hear in just a minute, we'd like to get into your story. I want to know, and I want to help the audience know a little bit more about how you came through basically a real estate crash into a prosperous internet business. But before we do, if you like today's interview, I want to make sure that you do a couple of things. Number one, make sure you share this on social media. If you're inspired, you can inspire one of your friends, one of your family members by copying the link, whichever link you found to get here, and sending that in an email or sending that out on your social media so that other people can see and hear what it is that we're talking about today. In addition to that, and I'm kind of sneak attacking Tracy with this, one of the things that we like to do here at The Daily Show is we like to give away a free book. We're committed to people's personal development. And Tracy, what's one of your favorite books of like all time?
The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. My favorite book of all times. You
turned me on to that book, and I have now read that book like 15 times. That is a fantastic.
It is like a financial life, kind of like Bible for me. So, in fact, I have it right here on my desk, and it's just so people can see, like, it's not just talk. I mean, I've got highlighted areas and I go through it, right? I mean, just all the way through. It's a working progress type of book. So, favorite book of all time, yes. And you see how I'm finished.
So here's what we're going to do. We are going to give away a copy of The Science of Getting Rich, and we're going to do that on our dime. Here's how you qualify for that. We're going to pick one person and we'll ship it to you. We'll pay for shipping, buy the book, everything. And you qualify that by posting a comment down below today's video on the webpage where you see it. Leave us a meaningful comment about 24 to 48 hours after we have the post up. Me and my team will go through those comments, and we'll select somebody who's really poured their heart and soul into that comment. And then you win. And then all we need to know from there is, like, where do we ship the book? And we'll take care of that. And you can thank Tracy for turning you on to the book. Now, if you don't win the book, go out and buy the book, because that book is amazing. It's absolutely one of the ones that I think that will really make a big difference in your own personal mindset. So with that, let's dive into your story today. Is that all right?
That's fine. Let's do it.
Okay. So Tracy, tell me a little bit about the real estate business that you had, and tell me a little bit about how you went from there to really being in a kind of a financial pickle.
Yeah, the financial pickle, I know. So I started my real estate investment company maybe about a year and a half, maybe 2 years out of college. And so I have a master's degree in business, and I started corporate America. I hated my job, and I learned about real estate while I was in grad school, kind of part-time, doing some things with my dad. My dad was into real estate, and so he would take me to these conferences. And so once I got laid off in 2002, which is really some of the aftermath of September the 11th in 2001, I started the real estate investment company where we negotiated short sales. So it was a big thing. I mean, people were really, really getting into real estate at this time. Wall Street was on all types of crazy things, and you could get loans for no money down, and people could qualify and whatever. So we built this entire business around helping people who were losing their homes to foreclosure, and then we would turn around and sell the house. And so we did really good with that. I mean, there were tons of people who could qualify. There were tons of people simultaneously who were looking to either move or just having financial hardship. And we were probably doing between $90,000 and $100,000 a month in that business on a consistent basis for about 2.5, 3 years. Well, about 2.5 years. And then 2006, then the market started to shift just a little bit. And
I'll go ahead and I'll talk about a little bit about Science of Getting Rich. Science of Getting Rich is one of the books that has inspired a couple of big names in the personal development field. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a little plug for that book. One is Bob Proctor. So Bob Proctor has been a huge Science of Getting Rich guy, and he's gone through that book just immaculately. And then The Science of Getting Rich was one of the books, I don't think the only one, but it was one of the main books that inspired the creators of The Secret to produce their book as well. And so, their book, their phenomenal movie, and all that. So this is an old book written in the 19-teens, and it talks about the power of the mind and how to scientifically go about creating what it is that you want. So with that was a little interlude. So now we're back to the story. The pizza is out of the oven, right?
So we couldn't burn the pizza. That's the worst thing ever.
No, burnt pizza's bad. I mean, I just want to know if you're going to share it with me. That's what I want to know.
Of course I will, right through here virtually.
Virtual pizza is not as good as real pizza. But all right, so let's go back to it. So things were going well for about 2.5 years. You're making $180,000 to $100,000 a month.
Yeah, I took about 3 because we did this from 2002 to 2006. So that 4-year period was pretty good. Then in 2006, the market started to shift, and we ended up only closing about 3 deals for the entire year of 2006, where our average was about 2 to 3 deals a month. All right, so we did that in a year. So what that did was that caused our cash flow to really tighten up with no income coming in, because all of our cash flow came from these large closings, right? And so my home that I built went into foreclosure, pre-foreclosure. Ironically, I was in a business to help people in foreclosure, and then my own house went into foreclosure, right? 2 of the 3 cars that we had went into repossession. I had to file bankruptcy twice. Actually, the first time I filed bankruptcy, it was to postpone the sale of the house. And then the second time that we filed bankruptcy, it was literally because we were living off the credit cards and just could not pay back that debt. I ended up going to the state and getting on food stamps, and literally electricity was rigged. Everything you could think of that could unravel itself right before my eyes seemed to do that within like a 4 or 5 month period of time, because it doesn't take long when you're living here and your expenses are here, and then your income drastically goes down to here, right? 3 or 4 months, it's like almost a wipeout, right? So it was around that time that I said, there's got to be a better. I would say just emotionally at that point, I literally would just cry every day. I would just cry every day. I would just sit on the stairs of that house and just wonder, like, how is this even happening to me? I don't even understand how this path of doing the right thing and getting the right grades and not hurting people. I didn't go to jail. I didn't have kids really, really young. Not that anything's wrong with that, but it's just I followed this very strict path, and then to end up like at the bottom on food stamps just seemed like it wasn't fair. So I then just kind of started praying for something. I don't know, just another way to do stuff. And I knew it wasn't going to be going back to corporate. So I said, there's got to be something I could do to bring in income without having to actually go and sell myself, right? And I'm just being completely transparent. When you're down those dire straits, it's like, look, something, right, it's got to go. And I'm like, without jeopardizing my dignity or my integrity or whatever, what could I do? So I had a friend that introduced me to network marketing in January 2007. And I went to that meeting and I signed up with one of those credit cards and started doing presentations. And that was really my first exposure to network marketing. And it was so easy to me, right? Compared to what I was doing in real estate, right? Yeah. All of the paperwork I had to do and going and sitting down with, people that owned $1 million houses and share with them how the process is going to work and get them to, agree to certain paperwork and terms, and then turn around and work with mortgage companies and negotiate back and forth and battle, and then have to close deals and find buyers and title companies and attorneys. all of that with a network marketing, all I had to do was say the presentation and people either signed up or not. To me, that was the easiest thing to do, right? And so I took a liking to that, and I did that for about a year offline. And I realized that that was kind of where I wanted to be. I loved speaking to people. I loved sharing visions and dreams and how things could be better. And it was kind of therapeutic for me as well, because I was speaking more in the terms of what could be. When at that time in my life, things were so chaotic. So it was almost like a getaway place, right? Where I could just go and I could just be positive. I could talk about what is possible and this and that. So anyway, a year of that, then I got tired. I got burned out with driving around and doing these presentations and going to people's houses and then no one showing up, or just whatever. People show up and they don't have the money. And I said, there's just got to be a completely different way. Now you got to remember, with my real estate business, we did direct mail. We marketed to people, right? And so people would call us, and that's how we would, filter the process. They would call the phone number and then we would just work from there. And network marketing was almost a complete opposite. We were going after people. And so I was tired of doing that. And I got on the internet. This was 2008 now. 2008, I got on the internet and I said, there's got to be a way that I can better this process, right? I didn't know anything about internet marketing in the sense of it being an industry, on processes and funnels and all this. I didn't know. And all I wanted to do was, could I record myself on a video? And is there a way that I could then send this video out to people where I don't have to keep saying it over and over? If I don't feel good, if it's snowing outside, if it's raining, how can I still get people the information? That was my whole goal. And so I got started with that. And then maybe within 30 or 60 days, I learned how to start generating leads, right? I probably had my first 5 or 10 leads or so. And then I started to build a team of people I'm going
to pause you for a minute. Rewind I want to ask you a couple questions about your journey here. So when you got started in network marketing, you've been in this real estate business where you've been making a ton of money. Were you able to make some money doing network marketing?
I did, but you know what? Because I was aggressive, right? Because I had things I had to do. I had to try to. Okay, so my house. This is important. The house was like $580,000 when we built the house. Okay.
Right.
Now the house had been appraised, and the house was worth $350,000. Right. So my mortgage was $3,500 a month, and we just did not see the benefit of throwing good money after bad. Right. So we weren't going to work ourselves to death to make up mortgage payments on a house that had dropped so far in value. It didn't make any sense. So our thing was, if we could just make enough cash or money to stack and put away, then we could let the house go. But then we would, at least if we could buy that time, then we could take that money and move and start over. So I was able to make money, and I would take that money and save it, basically. I wasn't paying the mortgage deliberately at that point, right? Because it was stupid, and just rode the wave out, and we would take that money. But the thing was, it wasn't enough to sustain everything, right? The way that company worked, for every 6 people I signed up or something, I would get like a $1,600 bonus. Right. So my goal was to bonus every week. Right. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes it would happen. Sometimes I would do it 2 times out of the month. Right. Which is like the minimum that I could do. So at least 3,200 from bonuses. And then, of course, the way network marketing works, you have like some residuals and all this other little these other factors. But my main thing was, I need to make at least this $3,200 at a minimum a month to kind of prepare for the next steps. So I did not fail. I didn't struggle like, nobody, because I had a decent market of people. I did work with realtors. I did work with mortgage brokers. I did work with people who were all experiencing the same thing I was experiencing. And
you were willing to work.
I was willing. I had to work. Like I said, I was aggressive, and it wasn't like a woe is me. It's like, okay, well, I have to get out here, and if I know how to speak, I know how to present, I know how to share the vision with people, then let me do that, right? Just let me do that as much as I can do to try to build up some type of stockpile so I can move on, because I knew I was getting out the house, right? That once I got over the brick and mortar and the emotional connection, because I built it and this and that, once I got over that, then it was really just, okay, what can I do to move forward? So yeah, I worked my tail off. I went and did those presentations. I drove around the city of Chicago. I rain, smoke, sleet, or hail, one person in the room, 10 people in the room, money, no money, right? I did that. I did what I had to do. And then once I got, when enough was enough, I'm like, okay, how can I automate myself? Because literally I was working like a maniac, and you can only do so much. You know?
And you can only do it for so long. Most people will burn out after they've gone just hours and hours and hours just being on the road. It's not a sustainable long-term plan for most people. Some people love it. Most people can't do it.
Exactly, and that's where I was.
Once you got into automation, that's the second piece that I wanted you to slow down for folks, is what were you doing inside of your automation when you first started? So when you first started to automate, I want you to slow that process down. We know you got to the point where you were like, oh my gosh, I'm working a million hours. I'm driving, hail, sleet, snow, 1 person, 10 person. But what did you do in terms of processes to start being able to generate leads in an automated sort of way without you having to go out and kill yourself all the time?
I started doing some Google searches for, I remember exactly what it was, but it was like how to market yourself online and network marketing or something, and then this guy kept popping up, and so I started following him, and I started kind of going through. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? So I didn't know that I was being a lead, going through a lead capture page, getting into a funnel. I didn't know that. All I knew was he seemed to know what he was talking about, and I would put my information in these different sites, and then I started buying things from him, right? That talked about how to build a successful business. And so I actually joined him in a network marketing company that he was in online. Right. So that was the first thing I did, was because I wanted to work directly with him. So I joined him first.
You found a mentor.
I found a mentor, and I just got as close to him as I could by joining his company. Right. That was my first thing. And it wasn't that much to get started at the basic level. So I did that. Then the second thing is that he would send out these blog posts daily to the team about what he was doing and what was working in his business. And the 3 consistent things that he always would talk about was having a blog, having a lead capture page, and having an autoresponder, right? Like, you need to have these 3 things. So I kind of had to go and educate myself on what these 3 things were. And
hang on. So we're saying that in the beginning, you didn't even know what any of those tools were. You didn't know how to run a blog. You didn't know what an autoresponder was. You didn't know what a capture page is. So that's where a lot of people are who are listening to this right now. They have absolutely no idea what those tools are. And what we want to say is, that's awesome. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And here you are, having done $1 million in sales, right? 1.3, 1.4, whatever. I think more than 1.4. Isn't that what you told me the other day?
I think so. You know what? I have to go back there and look.
That's all right.
I don't know. Look, I'm just trying to get the 2. It's not 2 yet. So that's
all. Not 2 yet, right? I gotcha. Anyway, but so to go from, I don't know what a blog is. I don't know how a blog runs. I don't know how to capture a lead. I don't know how to email out. I don't know how to cultivate a list over time. You didn't have any of those skills, and yet you went and you figured it out. And part of your story was finding a mentor. Once you started to figure out what those things were, what was the basic system that you used to be able to get people to come to you?
Well, then I learned about different little tools like magnetic sponsoring, right? I mean, we're talking about back then, so 2008. So I didn't have to build anything myself, right? All I had to do was I used somebody else's lead capture page and, free report or whatever it was, and system, so to speak, where I would capture the leads for me as well, right? So they would get the leads, but I would get the leads too. So I started leveraging that, and reading magnetic sponsoring too, like gave me a lot of insight as to how things work on the internet. Okay, which wasn't that different from what I was doing in my real estate business. But sometimes, this is what I think, sometimes we come from one area in our lives that is doing well overall, right? And then you have a glitch, and then we get on the internet, and it's almost like we go dumb. Like, we've completely forgot everything that we did that made sense before we got to the internet. Like, we can't even walk or eat, right? It's like we're infants all over. And I had to remember that, oh, wait a minute, let's port some of these skills over. Let's bridge some of these concepts because they're really the same. I'm just doing it in a different way. And it took me a minute to get that. And once I got that, I said, oh, okay, I got it. So I still need to market to people and people respond to me, right? That was the gist of magnetic sponsoring, right? Magnetize people to you. So
Tracy, this is a good spot to pause. We're going to do part 2 of your interview tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit about how you went from brand newbie to $2 million a year or not $2 million a year, more than $1 million in sales over the period of a couple of years.
right.
And so we're going to tell that story. We're also going to talk about how you've done that as a mom, right? And I know there's a lot of women out there that are going, oh my gosh, if I found a way that I could make money from home and I could like pursue something that I'm passionate about, I'd totally do it. And I think that you have a powerful story there. So we're going to go into that story tomorrow. But if you really like the content that you're getting today, I'm going to encourage you to scroll down to the bottom of the page, and there's a name and email address field. And in that name and email address field, you want to sign up. And what you get when you sign up is you're going to get access to the daily show 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Either me or my Make Money mentor, David Wood, is going to do a show. And the show is purely value-based like today. We do interviews. Sometimes we share strategies, tactics. Sometimes we're talking about principles. I did a big series on how to influence the subconscious mind for success. And there's just awesome content that's posted 5 days a week. So when you scroll down to the bottom of the page and you put in your name and your best email address, we will email you the daily show. This is a great way to start to reprogram your mindset for success. And that's what we're committed to do. And we just want to bring a ton of value to you and make sure that you're moving in that direction. When you do, you're going to get a couple of bonuses. First bonus you get, you're going to get a copy of today's show in MP3 format so you can listen to it again and again. If you were inspired by Tracy's story, if you want to hear it again, if you want to comb through the details, MP3 is included when you scroll down and sign up today. Also, in addition to that, you're going to get a copy of the transcript in PDF so that you can actually read it. I don't know about you, but for me, I learn really differently when I read something. And that's the value in going back through the material in multiple ways. Also, this is like super cool. I'm like so excited I can hardly even talk straight. I have put together a mindset training on how to use your words, affirmations, to create powerful shifts in your mind and in your heart. And that's called my words training. It's about a 50-minute training, and it's an MP3 format. I charge clients for it. In fact, I've charged people more than $200 to teach the same information that's on that MP3 that you'll get for free just by entering in your name and your email address. All of that's a bonus when you sign up today because we want to help you out. So put your name and email address down below and come back tomorrow and we'll be talking to Tracy. And of course, if you like what you heard today, make sure you share the link that you had today. And we're glad that you came to join us.